Welcome into episode 3 of Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly. I'm your host, Connor Rabchak. We've got a lot to talk about this week. The Blue Bombers opened their season, the Sea Bears played a handful of games, the Goldeyes won back-to-back series, and there was a handful of Jets news that we'll get to as well before I hand out my 3 stars of the week. Before we get into the Bombers game, hit the like, hit the subscribe. Let's talk about that season opener for the Blue Bombers at Princess Auto Stadium. It was a Grey Cup rematch between the Winnipeg Blue Bombers and the Montreal Alouettes, and Montreal ran away with this one, improving their record to 1-0 on the season. This game looked a lot closer than it really was. Johnny Augustine scored a garbage time touchdown to make it a little bit closer, but the Alouettes just ran away with this game from start to finish. 27-12 was the final, and as you can see there, the net yardage on offense, 324 yards for the Alouettes, 284 for the Bombers. A lot of the key offensive starters like quarterback Zach Collaros, running back Brady Oliveira, and wide receiver Dalton Schoen, they all didn't play in the preseason. They had injuries that they were battling throughout training camp, and I think that really showed in this game. The offense looked rusty. They looked out of sorts. Collaros was missing passes that we know he'll hit next week and beyond. This was just a weird game from start to finish, especially for the offense that looked really rusty after not playing in the preseason. The sacks were 2-1 in favor of Montreal, but what really hurt the Bombers in this game was the turnovers. They lost that battle 3-1, and when you lose a turnover battle 3-1, you're not going to win many games. A punt return fumble, Nick Dembski putting the ball on the ground as well, and Zach Collaros throwing an interception off his back foot. Both of those offensive turnovers from Dembski and Collaros were as the Bombers were driving into Montreal territory, halting these great drives that might have put points on the board and made this game a little bit closer in the moment. They turn the ball over, Montreal takes advantage, they got a great defense, and the Bombers fall to 0-1 on the season. The Bombers will play this week on the road, and I'll get into that later on in the episode when I talk about the upcoming schedule, but their next home game is Friday, June 21st against the BC Lions. Over 30,000 people were at Princess Auto Stadium for the home opener. A Friday night against BC, I'd expect another great crowd for that one. Now let's just quickly touch on the Winnipeg Jets news of the week. Starting off, David Pagnotta of the Fourth Period reporting that Nikolai Ehlers would welcome a move and he doesn't want to re-sign in Winnipeg. That was the biggest news of the week. Go check out the conversation with Murat Atesh on Winnipeg Sports Talk Daily from the past week. They dove into that report, a great conversation on that one. Nolan Baumgartner, an assistant coach for the Manitoba Moose, was hired by the Ottawa Senators. He had coached with Travis Green. Back in Vancouver, Baumgartner reunites with Green in Ottawa, brand new coaching staff. Great opportunity for Baumgartner. Wishing him all the best in Ottawa. Number 3, Scott Billeck of the Winnipeg Sun, he reported that Dylan would hit the open market. He actually reported late Sunday that Dylan and the Jets have had talks, but they haven't gone anywhere, and it's still expected that Dylan will hit the open market, but they at least talked about a deal. The door isn't completely closed on Brendan Dillon coming back as an unrestricted free agent. I dove into the likelihood of Dillon re-signing in my latest video for Winnipeg Sports Talk. If you haven't already, go check that out. It's a full free agency preview for the Winnipeg Jets. Unrestricted free agents, restricted free agents. I looked at it all, their contract projections, and analyzed whether or not they'll be back with the Jets next season. So go check that out if you haven't already. Number 4, the NHL announced that the salary cap is going up to $88 million next season. So a little bit more flexibility for the Winnipeg Jets, who are a cap-strapped team, to make some moves here in the offseason and going into next season. And then number 5, the Stanley Cup Final, that's happening right now between the Oilers and the Panthers. Plenty of former Jets on both sides. From Florida, you've got Dmitry Kulikov, Kevin Stenlund, and obviously the coach, Paul Maurice Pomo. He's behind the bench looking for his first ever Stanley Cup. And as for the Oilers, you've got Evander Kane and assistant coach Mark Stewart behind the bench running the Oilers penalty kill, which has killed 30 straight penalties here in the playoffs. That's on an absolutely dominant run led by Mark Stewart, coaching that unit, and Evander Kane, the former Jet, on the Oilers side of things. That's all for the Jets news of the week. If you want more breakdowns on this, go check out the live shows Monday through Friday, 1 through 3 with Huss and Remus and guests. They broke down all of these things, especially the Ehlers report that came out later in the week. That was a main focus of conversation, so if you want to hear more about that, go check it out on our YouTube channel. Now let's talk about the Winnipeg Goldeyes. And if you've kept up with the previous episodes of Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly, you've seen that record for the Goldeyes slowly creep up as they chip away and win these 3-game series repeatedly. This week was no different, starting off with the Kane County Cougars. This series was in Winnipeg. The Goldeyes took 2 of those games, a 7-2 win, a 1-0 loss, and then a 4-3 walk-off win. That game started Thursday at 11. There were a ton of kids at the crowd, a school day game, and the crowd, all the kids in attendance went nuts when the ball got past the second baseman, and the Goldeyes took that one 4-3. And then they hit the road for a 6-game road trip where they've played 3 of those games so far, all of them against the Milwaukee Milkmen, starting off with a 6-2 loss, but then ending up winning the series with a 7-4 win and then an 8-1 win to close it out. I'm going to talk more about that 8-1 win later on when I hand out some awards. Either way, the Winnipeg Goldeyes have really bounced back from a poor start to their season. They started 3-7 on a 10-game road trip. They've climbed all the way back to 14-14, right at 500. Now the push to get above 500 is on, and they're playing some great baseball right now. If you want to catch them, obviously goldeyes.com/tickets, and I'll get into the upcoming schedule later on, but you'll have plenty of opportunity to catch the Goldeyes at Blue Cross Park in the month of June. Now for the Winnipeg Seabears, who played 3 games this past week. The first one, a 92-90 win over the Brampton Honey Badgers. The second one, a 101-94 loss to the Niagara River Lions. And then the third and final one, a 110-78 loss to the Calgary Surge. Back-to-back losses for the Seabears coming off of 3 straight wins. And this one against Calgary was the toughest. Calgary was 1-4 coming into it. And Winnipeg kept it close through 3 quarters, and then the 4th quarter and target score time just completely lost it. If you look there, the turnover battle. I talked about the turnover battle with the Blue Bombers. Well, if you lose the turnover battle 23-10 in the CEBL with target score time, you're going to get beat as well. The Surge were incredibly efficient on their shots too, over 50%, both from the field and the 3. This game, and especially the ending to it, is just a complete write-off for the Seabears. They had been playing really good basketball as of late, the 3-game winning streak that I mentioned. Now they've lost 2 straight. They got to bounce back. They'll have the chance to do so Thursday night against the Vancouver Bandits. That'll wrap up a 4-game road trip before they'll return home. And just like the Goldeyes, you'll have plenty of opportunity to catch the Seabears inside Canada Life Centre in the month of June. Before we move on, just a quick update on some of the other sports going on in the city of Winnipeg. Valor FC, they had a game Sunday at Princess Auto Stadium against Ottawa. They dropped that one 2-0. They've now got 2 wins, 1 draw, and 6 losses on the season through 9 games. And Assiniboia Downs, there's horse racing. Huss and Remus are making their picks. Monday through Wednesday, racing at the Downs continues. Now it is time to hand out the 3 stars of the week. But before I hand those out, hit the like, hit the subscribe, and the notification bell so you don't miss videos like this from Winnipeg Sports Talk in the future. A ton of great content on the channel recently, including a free agency preview for the Winnipeg Jets. You're going to want to check that out. As for right now, let's get into the 3 stars of the week. My 3rd star of the week is Bombers linebacker Brian Cole. There weren't many bright spots for the Bombers in their season opening loss on Thursday night, but Cole was one of them. He led the team with 6 tackles and got the interception early in the first quarter that put the Bombers in a great spot. They ended up settling for a field goal and took a 3-0 lead at the time. But if there was a bright spot, Brian Cole was it. 6 tackles, led the team, and 1 interception. He's my 3rd star of the week. My 2nd star of the week is Jared Ogunemi Jackson, JOJ as they call him, the point guard for the Winnipeg Seabears, who's averaging 18 points a game this year, 4 rebounds, nearly 7 assists, and doing it all on incredibly efficient shooting, over 50% from the field, nearly 45% from beyond the arc. And this week in the game against Brampton, he had 16 points and 9 assists, really coordinated the offense, and then followed it up against Niagara, the leading scorer for the Seabears in that game with 24 points and added 6 assists. And then the 3rd game of the week, I already talked about it, against Calgary. The team kind of imploded late in the 4th quarter, but the first 2 games of the week and all season long, JOJ has been commanding the offense. He's my 2nd star of the week on Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly. My 1st star of the week by a landslide is Goldeyes pitcher Joey Matulovic, and it's simply because of the performance he put on Sunday, June 9th against the Milwaukee Milkmen. He pitched the entire game, all 9 innings, 14 strikeouts, allowed 1 run, walked 1 batter, and allowed 6 hits, and the Goldeyes won 8-1. Easily the best pitching performance all season long from the Goldeyes this season, Joey Matulovic. He's my 1st star of the week with 14 strikeouts on Sunday against the Milkmen. Now it is time to get into the upcoming sports schedule here in Winnipeg over the next week. Starting with the Blue Bombers, they'll look to bounce back from their 0-1 start to the season against the Ottawa Redblacks on Thursday night. Drew Brown, the Bombers' backup quarterback last season, has moved on. He's with Ottawa and he's starting this game. So a bit of a revenge game for Ottawa and Drew Brown. But the Bombers, they'll need to take care of business to get back to 1-1. The Sea Bears, I brought it up earlier in the episode, they'll look to bounce back from 2 straight losses against the Vancouver Bandits. That closes out a 4-game road trip for them. Then they'll return home for a 5-game homestand in the middle of June. There will be plenty of opportunities to catch the Sea Bears inside Canada Life Center, so go check them out over that 5-game homestand. And to one-up the Sea Bears, the Goldeyes will return home for a 9-game homestand. They're going to finish out their 6-game road trip that they're currently on right now. And then June 14th against the Sioux City Explorers, they'll open up a 3-game series. But this homestand goes forever. It's a 9-game homestand. Goldeyes.com/tickets if you want to catch one of these games. Go check out the new scoreboard, the new patio decks, and there's even the Winnipeg Sports Talk Goldeyes Night on June 18th. Excited to see everyone at the ballpark. The Stanley Cup Final continues. The Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers. Florida taking Game 1 with a 3-0 win. Sergei Bobrovsky with a dominant performance in the net for Florida. He'll look to follow that up in Game 2. That's June 10th, Monday night. And then Game 3, the first game in Edmonton in the series. That'll be Thursday night as they give them an extra day to travel. But June 10th, Game 2 of the Stanley Cup Final. That's going to do it for the 3rd edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly. Thank you everyone for tuning in. I really appreciate it. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and the notification bell if you haven't already. Usually I'd be saying that this video comes out every single Monday morning, and it does. But next Monday, I'm out of town. There won't be an edition of Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly. So make sure you tune into the Monday edition with Huss and Remus. They'll break down everything from the weekend at 1 o'clock on YouTube. It's a packed schedule this week, so enjoy it. And I'll see you all 2 Mondays from now breaking it down on Winnipeg Sports Talk Weekly. Have a great week, everyone.